Shalom, I'm Murray Pilachowski, and this is the 60 on the 95, the latest Israel news for teen Israel advocates. In our first story, we'll look at a tragic event that occurred over the weekend. At around 8:30 p.m. on Sunday night, Shlomi Cohen, a 31-year-old Israeli who was on reserve duty and hailed from the northern town of Afula, was driving a civilian vehicle near the naval base next to the border town of Rosh HaNikra when shots were fired at his car from the Lebanese side of the fence. 2 bullets hit Cohen in the chest and neck, and he lost control of the vehicle, causing it to roll over. The gunman, a Lebanese and not a Hezbollah soldier, ran toward the border and fired 6 or 7 bullets at the Israeli vehicle, which was on the Israeli side of the fence. Lebanon's national news agency reported this news. He then fled into a wooded area and hid until Monday morning, when he turned himself in to Lebanese authorities. Later, Army spokeswoman Lieutenant Libby Weiss said Israeli forces identified suspicious movement along the border just after midnight and shot 2 members of Lebanon's armed forces. She said the shooting occurred near where Cohen was killed. Weiss had no details on the condition of the Lebanese soldiers. Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Yaalon said Israel would request an explanation from the Lebanese army about whether the soldier acted on his own without orders, which would be a terrorist attack, and what the Lebanese army would do to prevent such incidences in the future. Our condolences go to the Cohen family. Our second story focuses on the White House efforts to get everyone, including Israel, on board with its plan with Iran. President Barack Obama's National Security Advisor, Susan Rice, pictured here, played host to a series of meetings with Israeli officials last week to try to gain their support for an interim deal with Iran aimed at containing Tehran's nuclear program. The meetings, announced in a White House statement on Sunday, arose from talks between President Barack Obama and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu last month, as the United States tried to persuade a skeptical Israel to support the Iran deal. Israel doubts whether Iran will actually give up a nuclear program, and the West believes is aimed at developing a nuclear weapon. The interim deal, achieved in Geneva last month between Iran and major world powers, halts Iran's nuclear program in exchange for modest sanctions relief. Over the next 6 months, the parties are to attempt to negotiate a comprehensive solution to Iran's nuclear challenge. Rice, along with her deputy Tony Blinken and senior officials from the Department of State and Treasury, met with Israeli National Security Advisor Yossi Cohen and other Israeli officials on Thursday and Friday in Washington. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif said that he believes it is only natural for United States lawmakers to be skeptical of the agreement between Iran and world powers on Tehran's nuclear program. Speaking in an interview with the Washington Post, Zarif said that he understands that there are multiple views within the United States and the other P5+1 powers, some of which are opposed to the nuclear deal. We have various views in Iran. Some of them have been very frank and vehemently expressed by the opponents of the agreement, to the extent that some have asked for my removal. I believe that's only natural in a democratic society, where you have different forces, different political views, and different branches of government operating to check and balance the exertion of political power, Zarif said. It's also important to note that Iran is not a democracy and has absolutely nothing in common with the United States political debate. Zarif added, however, that if statements are made that run counter to the very aim of the negotiations, coming from within the administration, meaning the White House, then that becomes extremely counterproductive. So we needed to bring that to the attention of our negotiating partners in very strong terms, and we believe we did. Does not mean that negotiations are dead. That means negotiations have hit a snag. In other words, what Zarif is saying is that it's very natural for there to be political debate within America, and he accepts that, which is very gracious of him. But he wants to make sure that all of America is on board with this agreement, or else it will cause the end of the agreement and the end of the partnership between America and Iran in trying to reach a solution. Zarif, I think, is in his own fantasy, living a life of imagining that he's a democracy like America and that he understands the American system and that he feels that he's at an advantage. What worries us is that Zarif feels that he's on equal footing with America. That's not the way he should feel in negotiations. That's been today's 60 on the 95, the latest Israel news for teen Israel advocates. We hope you'll tune in next time. Have a great day, and let's look forward to peace in Israel. Shalom.